Doing the local recordings. We are live. We are
We did
live. We did it. We did it, Chris. The first time. Okay, well, thanks for joining. I am super excited for this. So,
Same here.
First time for those of you, if you're watching this live or you're watching the replay, I am Bill. I'm a realtor here in Charleston. This is my channel. Welcome. I help people make good decisions when moving to, from, or around the Charleston area. And next to me is my good friend, Chris, who is a mortgage lender with South State Bank. He's not only a friend, he was my lender on my last home as well. And we're just going to try this live thing out and talk about what's going on in Charleston and around the area and all that fun stuff. You got anything to add, Chris?
No, I mean, I'm excited to talk about it. I mean, we both, we live in different parts of town. We both have families, both like to do a lot of cool stuff here in town. And I think that there's, all sorts of folks that are considering moving here that want to know what there is to do and what's going on in Charleston.
Yeah, play around with this. So I did want to start because there was something big that just happened. The West Rock, the paper mill, kind of.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of things about this. They just announced that they are shutting down. I actually had clients come into town about a month and a half ago, interviewed with them, and we looked at houses. And they said, we're not going to pull a trigger until we get an offer. I said, that's probably a really good idea. Then they were told about a week later that they're going on a hiring freeze for the moment. And then 2 weeks later, after that, the news broke that they're shutting it down August 31st. And there's currently 500 people that are about to lose their jobs. So kind of crazy that's
right. I mean, that for those that really don't know that paper plan, I mean, I remember coming to Charleston since, mid to late 90s and, being in the car, with parents and you hit 526 and you hit the smell of the paper plan and that you're here, you've made it to Charleston. So that's really sad. I mean, there's a lot of people that are going to be out of work and, fortunately, there's a lot of places hiring, but still, I mean, it's not fun for, 500 people to have to be displaced and looking for jobs, especially in that manufacturing. Fortunately, we do have, other manufacturing companies coming in town. So hopefully, they'll be able to get new jobs soon.
Yeah, it's just super quick. I think it was 120 days, they said, like from the announcement to the closing. It's like you said, with the manufacturing jobs, and we've got Ridgeville, so much going on up there, but I don't think there's going to be that many new jobs in the next 120 days. But Volvo bringing in 1,300 jobs, and then Redwood Materials across the street from them is going to have 1,800 jobs. So we've got plenty of industrial manufacturing jobs coming.
Exactly.
But unfortunately,
might not be here yet.
Right. Yeah. And it's not like, I'll just take a couple months off and then start. Like it could be a couple years, a year or two before they're even hiring in that capacity.
Yeah.
For permanent employment, not just the construction employment to build the facilities. For that. So I wish them all the best. It's just, I don't know. I couldn't even imagine if someone was like, oh, by the way, you've been working here for this long and now you don't have a job in 3 months.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to say. I mean, you've got to imagine that the folks that have been working there have probably been there for a really long time. 25, 30, 30 years plus. So having to start over and go find something new in the industry, like you said, got a lot of places coming in town, but they might not be ready in time. So, hopefully they'll be able to get that figured out or, to try to line up some new work here somewhere else.
Yep. So, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with that site. I think it's going to take a while to to tear it down. I know they said they were going to put it up for sale soon. I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, you wonder, like, if is someone going to move in there and do some sort of manufacturing, or are developers looking at that and saying, what could we buy this place for, and what could we put here on top of this? Obviously, housing is always an issue, and people are always looking for new places to develop, and I can't imagine the number of acres that plant takes up, but it's got to be a lot, and it's in a prime location. So I don't know what's going to happen. I'm sure someone with some big pockets are looking to see what could we do with this area.
Yeah. So on that, like with the housing development, so we've got Brian here is asking some questions. Thank you, Brian. So
yeah,
I know this is kind of your competition, essentially, Chris, but this is something we are still seeing. I get emails weekly from home builders that are, they're offering not just the 2-1 buy downs, but it's a straight, we'll buy you down to like 4.99 for
the life of the loan. And I mean, Bill, you're right. Sure, competition, yes, but at the same time, like I'll tell clients straight up, listen, the builder that owns their mortgage company, that mortgage company does not have to generate revenue like we do, or like a normal mortgage company does. They got to make money to pay the bills. Well, the builders, they're selling homes. Those homes are generating profit. So it's not so much having to rely on just the mortgage itself, which means that they can do some pretty crazy incentives. And it's really hard to turn away. I mean, just this week, I had a client, I had pre-approved her for, 2 weeks. She's out there looking at property, and she calls me up and she's like, Chris, I'm so sorry to tell you this, but one of the national builders, Pulte Mortgage or Pulte Builders, they're offering $10,000 in closing costs to move forward with their mortgage company. And I told her, I was like, listen, there's no hard feelings. That's 10 grand that you're not having to come up with out of pocket. Like, hey, listen, if rates drop, I'll call you up and I'll help you out with the refinance. But as far as this purchase goes, there's no reason why you shouldn't move forward with that at all.
100%. And I tell people this, and I mean, you and I have this conversation all the time with mutual clients. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes it could be too good to be true. On the incentives. So even if they're offering that 5,000, 10,000, whatever, when you get that loan estimate, let us know. Shoot it over to Chris. His information's down in the description. Have him look it over for you. And one of the reasons why I've partnered with you and any of the other lenders that I like to work with is because you're honest, and you're, like you said, you're not afraid to turn down business if it benefits the client.
Exactly. And I mean, but just like what you're saying, Bill, sometimes we'll see, a $5,000 incentive, but then there's a $5,000 origination fee that's being charged. And, we don't charge an origination fee on our traditional programs. So that could be like, oh yeah, it looks like there's a credit, but it's just being taken up by a fee that a lot of other lenders aren't going to charge you anyway. So, within a real quick 30-second look, we can look at those, and I can at least give you the questions to ask and say, hey, is this right? Or is this how this works?
And then his follow-up here for you: at the slowdown in GDP and jobless claims going up, do y'all see interest rates staying put or lowering in the last half of the year? I mean, we just kind of talked about this. They ticked up a little bit today before we went live. But what are you thinking with that? And they say that they're done raising. The Fed said they're probably done raising rates for the year, but that could change in 5 minutes. We all know that. But what's your predictions on that? It's
so hard to predict. If you had asked me exactly 12 months ago and said that, hey, in September, October of 2022, rates are going to be in the low to mid 7s, I would have said you're crazy. I've been in the mortgage industry since 2009. I would have said there's no way that the market could handle that. The market did handle that, and it slowed everybody down. Not as many contracts coming in September and October of last year, but now it's starting to rebound. There's more activity out there. Inventory is still extremely low, and that's the main driver behind home prices not coming down. And I'm talking to so many folks that are saying, well, as rates go up, shouldn't the sales price come down on the home that I'm looking at? And just a quick, just something to tell you, like there's a home that got listed, in our neighborhood a week ago for $2.3 million. And in a normal market, that property might sit there for 60, 90, 120 days for the right buyer to come in. That property went live on Thursday and was under contract over asking price on Saturday. So inventory is still an issue nationwide. It's an extreme issue here in the Low Country where we live. But over the course of every single day, we're about Friday. So large fluctuations, I always recommend, when you get pre-approved, know what your rate is, understand that you're probably not locked in when you do get pre-approved. And then when you go to submit that offer, it's always good to talk to your lender and say, hey, I'm submitting an offer today. What are rates looking like now? It's always good to, have that open line of communication. It's not like a one and done, get pre-approved, and then a month later you get under contract and then you talk to your lender. I'm talking to my clients daily on every single home that they're making an offer on.
Yeah. Do you remember what happened to us when we were about to go under contract and really we locked in at 5.5 and within 7 days they were over 7?
Unreal timing. And
we would not be in our new house if we would have waited.
There's a lot of people.
Days.
I look back all the time, because we do some deals where we got plenty of room on debt to income ratios, but there's a lot that we do, especially with home prices going up, interest rates going up. There's a lot where we're just bumping up against the max limit. And I can look back 6 months ago and really count the number of people that would not have been able to get their home, which is crazy. I mean, it's crazy to see in this environment.
Yeah. And you mentioned, our inventory. I just pulled up the overall stats. I mean, we are at 1.7 months of inventory right now, and that's down from about 2.1. This is the whole Tri-County area. 2.1 November, December, up from our low last year, like February, March last year was like our rock bottom. We hit rock bottom like a lot later than the rest of the country, which kind of made that peak even higher and quicker. And that was at 0.8. And that's for everywhere.
Which is crazy.
You are in Mount Pleasant.
Yeah.
That's at 1.2 right now.
And so remind me, when you're talking about inventory in terms of months, what does that mean? Like 1.2 months?
It's our term for if no new homes came on the market and homes are selling at the same rate that they are today, how long would it take to sell them?
Got it.
6 to 7 months is balanced. 6 to 7 months is balanced. And that anything under is a seller's market.
Yeah.
And anything over is considered a buyer's market.
Got it.
But what's interesting about Charleston is people always ask, like, when are we going to get back into a buyer's market?
Yeah.
If you had to guess when the last time we were in a statistical buyer's market was, what would your guess be?
Let's go with 2013.
Ooh, good. June 2014 was the last time we were in that was a balanced market.
Balanced market.
Over 7 was January 2013, March 2013, right around there.
Look at that.
Look at you. You study.
Look at that. I mean, that's just right off that's just a feel for activity of what did it feel like, and buyers saying, oh, I don't need that one. I'm going to take another one. Another one will pop up. Versus where we are today, which is a completely different story.
Right. So yeah, we've been 10 years in the seller's market, essentially.
Yeah.
Around here. I mean, there's a lot of contributing factors to that, especially recently. We were a hotspot for remote work.
Yeah. We are.
We still are.
I think that's part of my daily spiel when I talk to people, and they're from all over the country, and they're saying, yeah, we're going to move to Charleston. It's going to be our primary residence. And my first question is, are you remote? And that during COVID, that everyone was remote. But now, it's just keep in mind, like you can do remote work and buy wherever you want, but just realize more often than not, the mortgage lender is going to call the employer and confirm that you actually can work remote. I had a few clients say, well, you sure you got a call? And I think that might've been a scenario where maybe they technically didn't have to go into the office, but that didn't necessarily mean that they could just move across the country. But now everyone's asking. It definitely comes up.
So here's something I think we can both kind of tack on this. Again, Brian's asking that the foreclosure site has ticked up in the last 30 to 60 days. Will this affect sales prices? Yes, I do help with foreclosures. That's the short answer. If you want some help, just reach out. Everyone's situation is different. Now, with this, I mean, a lot of this comes from the delinquency of mortgage side on that. Yes, it has ticked up, but in the grand scheme of things, it has not ticked up much. From, if we learned anything from 2008, 9, 10, then it was, oh, by the way, your mortgage just doubled. You went into foreclosure. That's not happening now. And it's going to take a lot more for people to go into foreclosure, because a lot of them refinanced or bought at a 3 or under %.
Yeah.
Their mortgage is dirt cheap. It's going to take a lot more for them to, I think, get underwater or have to go into foreclosure. You
just said it. I mean, not to mention, they've got a low rate and a low payment, but America in general is sitting on more equity today than ever before. So it really has to be a certain circumstance for someone to really feel that foreclosure is the only answer prior to selling. Because right now, folks have so much equity in properties that the normal easy answer is, well, I'm just going to sell the property and cash out. And typically you're going to make money on it. And if not, you might break even. So it's just not that many scenarios that we see or that come across my desk where someone's in a scenario where a foreclosure is the only option. And I'm not sure when we're going to see that, increase. I don't know what that would take, but I mean, right now, most folks, if they called you up and said, hey, I lost my job or something's going on, or I'm getting divorced or something's happened and we can't make these payments anymore, the normal answer is, well, you know what? You owe $150. We could sell it for $3.
Right. Yeah. And you can get out of it easier. It's not, you don't just need a pulse to buy a house anymore. I guess is what it is.
Exactly.
I don't know. Like in my experience, foreclosures that I've seen, and I've got some stories of looking at them that from a numbers point, it can be a deal.
Yeah.
On the surface. But I have noticed a lot of people that get foreclosed upon aren't too happy. They don't think it's their fault. It's the bank's fault, not theirs. And they have their way with the property before they have to get out. I looked at one, and no kidding, we walked in. We were looking around. We walked into one of the bedrooms. There was poop on the floor in the middle of the room. And there was a gas station plastic cup with a drink in it with ice in it. And my client and I looked at each other, and neither of us said a word, and we walked out the door. We're like, we're either not alone or someone just left and they'll be back.
Exactly. No go.
I will never forget that. Fast forward to like 2 years ago, I looked at that same house again. I pulled up to it with clients, and I was like, I know this house.
I've been here before. Yeah.
And right when I walked in, it was an interesting layout up in like Goose Creek, North Charleston. And it all came back. I was like, oh, someone bought
You remember.
I did. I was like, this is a room that had poop in it. And the glass of ice. And I told my clients that. They're like, that's creepy. I was like, it was very scary. And it was like noon. Like, it wasn't even like it was dark. But yeah, foreclosures can be fun. And if you're in a hurry, they're probably not the best. Sometimes.
Probably not for you. Yeah, that's it. You got to have some money and time to put into them if that's the route that you want to go.
Mm-hmm. And then I think it's good worth noting too, because I do get a lot of people saying, "Oh, I'm seeing a lot of pre-foreclosures on Zillow. They're all over the place." That's basically if you were like late for a payment, it like triggers something, right?
Exactly.
And if you look at the number of pre-foreclosures to actual foreclosures, even just on Zillow, it's like 200 to 1 or something crazy that actually make it to that foreclosure process.
Yeah. I mean, because right now there are so many programs in place that, if you are having trouble calling the mortgage lender, there's a lot of options and modifications and things that can happen. As long as you're, my advice to anybody listening that has ever run into that scenario or is possibly considering it, like, just pick up the phone. If you pick up the phone and call prior to everything starting to go downhill, or right as the beginning of everything to go downhill, people are going to be willing to work with you. It's when you don't pick up the phone, don't answer anything for 6 months, then that's when things reach a point where it's you kind of can't go back and fix it. Whereas if you catch it up front, you can have a lot of those conversations. And that's another thing, Bill. Like, I'm not sure if you started to see this on listings, but people that bought prior to COVID and then were living in their home during COVID, I'm starting to see some weird things on their current mortgage, like a second mortgage or some different things. If they took out certain types of forbearances or, things that they kind of put in on the back end of the mortgage, where during that time, everybody was doing it. But it's always important. Like, if you are, going to sell your home, make sure that you get the title search updated and know who actually has a lien on that property. And also get a mortgage payoff. And that way, exactly what's expected to be paid off at closing, because sometimes it might be different than what shows up on your mortgage statement. So those are just small things that I'm seeing on a day-to-day basis that folks might not think about.
Yeah. So I want to switch gears a little bit.
Okay.
Let's talk about some more positive stuff. I like talking about the housing, but something I'm kind of excited about here. Actually, two things. Couple new parks come in. I want to talk about this because I get a lot of comments on my videos or see them online. Everyone's like, overdevelopment, you're killing all our trees, blah, 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 whatever. But the cities are doing stuff. They're adding parks. They're adding outdoor spaces with all of this.
Yep.
And there's a couple of developments that are going on with this. And one of them is the Old Town Creek County Park in West Ashley. I'm out of focus. 67 acres. I think it's going to be a great place. Right there, right near Charlestown Landing. So you'll have a lot of options there. And then in Somerville as well, there's the Pine Trace Natural Area, which is 306 acres that was purchased.
That's wild. I mean, that's those are going to be some huge parks.
Yeah. And it's going to be great for the people that live around there. And, you know, in the long run, will it directly affect property values? And that's hard to say, but it will make properties in those areas a lot more desirable.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we have Palmetto County Park off Long Point down the street from us, and that's a main staple in our summertime activity or springtime. It's just let's run out to the park. If we've got family in town, that's usually what we're doing, and or hosting a birthday party or taking the dogs or riding bikes out there. And a lot of these new parks, I mean, they're nice. I mean, they're very well thought out, very nice biking trails, walking trails, picnic tables, playgrounds. I mean, the whole thing. And it's really a fun spot to go hang out at.
Yeah. So you guys have a park pass?
Oh yeah. The whole windshield thing. Yeah. I mean, it's that way you just get waved in by the carload.
Oh yeah. And then another project that I think on the opposite side that is getting some pushback is, and they actually have a meeting in about an hour on it, is Union Terminal downtown. What have you seen about that? Are you familiar?
Where is that one?
So the cruise terminal, as we all know, next December, and there's a lot of people that are happy that there won't be a home port cruise here during the construction. Yep. But now they're taking that property and they're like, what are we going to do with it? It's a lot of property. And there's a lot of pushback now because it doesn't fit downtown.
Got it.
And almost looks very overbuilt. A little bit taller buildings, apartments, retail, all of that. And then like little pockets of parks. So they've been having a lot of meetings recently to what are they going to do with that? I mean, I'd like to see a mix of both. Make it more accessible to everybody, not just the people that can afford to live on the peninsula. It's still going to have a cruise ship terminal. I don't know if you've ever taken a cruise out of here, but it's like...
Nope, I have not.
It's rough. It is rough. And that's putting it nicely. So that'll be good. And I think during all the construction, it will still be a port of call. So we'll still have cruise ships coming in. They just won't be departing from here. And it'll just be in for the day and out. So people just argue about that instead of there being one here all the time. But I think if they do it right, it'll be great for that whole area as just another destination for downtown. Like that's what I would ultimately love to see them do with that. And I think that's the goal. It's just how do they execute it to make as few people angry as possible. But I think if they could do most of it as like green space, like a small like town center type thing, maybe they could do like outdoor concerts or something there. Like, I don't know. We'll see. It's an ongoing process. I know they were taking suggestions. They said send your positive comments for our meeting today.
No negative, just positive. Hey, but you know what? I mean, that kind of stuff actually gets listened to. We live over on Long Point Road in Mount Pleasant, which is right near the port, the big Wando terminal, which is one of the largest ones on the East Coast. And we have trucking traffic in front of our neighborhood all day long. And, I've lived there for 11 years now. And they wanted to, they had a vote on different types of access for the truckers. And, one was, we could get our own, big circle in front of our neighborhood, and we didn't want that. And but we actually provided enough positive comments to I think that they're going to have their own access point from 526, where they're going to have their own entryway where they can get right off the highway and drive directly into the port, which would be great. because, right now we've got a bunch of semis that are crossing in front of our neighborhood all day, every day, which, I wouldn't trade it where we are. We're super close to the water and everything like that. But still, it would be nice to not have fully loaded semis running at 45 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour in front of our neighborhood.
If they can get up to that speed.
Oh, yeah.
I've been up there where 526 is that exit.
Yep.
Is backed up to like Daniel Island of just all trucks trying to get in there. There's times we tried to go to, what is it? Ghost Monkey Brewery's right up there.
Yeah.
And
right behind
I didn't even make it. I didn't even make it there.
You just turned around.
I'm not sitting in all this traffic. And then we just like went to Westbrook. Because there weren't 400 semis trying to drive by it. But even just on 526, not just in front of your house, like that whole area is just, and it's getting worse because they just they finished the dredging of the harbor. So I want to say we're
there's going to be bigger ships coming in.
We're the deepest harbor on the East Coast now. And then
I think so. Yes.
Bringing in everything, with Volvo and Redwood, but then Scout Motors, the Volkswagen company, like a $2 billion facility. So they're going to make upwards of like 4,000 cars a year or something like that. They're going to have 4,000 employees in a town of 6,000. But we're their port for that, for everything they need. So it's only going to get worse.
Yeah. We need more housing, and that's why everything gets further sprawled out. That's why you start seeing development start being moved further and further out. Mount Pleasant's, it's gone all the way up Highway 17. And now it's stretching, past what we used to think was far, Somerville, Monk's Corner, Goose Creek. It now is out past to Ridgeville, and it's going to continue spreading out further.
Yeah. And up there, I've been telling people, is a great place if you're looking to get into investment properties.
Yeah.
Is up there. Everything's moving up there. Even just like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, like that's way too far. There was nothing up there. But with all of these jobs coming in, and we don't really have much land, we can only expand in a few directions.
Yep.
Being on the coast, up there is a great investment opportunity. Even just building a home to use as an investment. That's take advantage of the builders offering a 4.99 rate. Build the home and keep it as an investment.
Exactly. I remember back when Fox Bank Plantation in Monk's Corner, all the Boeing employees moving in that neighborhood in the low 200s, and it took years for that neighborhood to get finished. But now it's I don't know what the minimum is in that neighborhood as far as a listing goes, but it's a lot more than 200. So, but yeah, those are all great opportunities. There's the builders are building where people are wanting to move and where there's land available. So, getting into those neighborhoods, especially in early phases, a lot of times, like if you get in on the ground floor, by the time phase 2, phase 3 come around, you've already built up a bunch of equity in that property, and you can hold on to it, or you can put a long-term tenant in there. Those are great options. Or, we've seen a lot of people buy that starter home with 3 to 5% down, and then they hold on, their equity goes up. They don't want to sell it. They put a renter in there, and then they buy another property with 5% down, and they're able to kind of stack up those properties as they keep moving forward. So it's a great way to build, an investment portfolio, and you can do it one house at a time,
Yeah. So Fox Bank, year to date, median price 388.
Yeah. So double where they initially started. So
yeah. And I still think it's way up there, but
yeah, it is.
For us, it is.
Yeah, for us. But if you work and your kids go to school, obviously, if you're working there, I mean, that's its own community. I mean, that's its own area. So, you know, you're not wanting to spend an hour in the car every day.
Yeah. You know, that's when people move here, like every area is so different. Like we always have the lifestyle conversation. Of
What do you
what
want
are
to
you
do?
looking what are you looking to get out of this move? Like we have the military base. So like, well, we're moving because the Air Force told me I'm moving here. I'm like, okay, your priorities are different than when I moved here. And my wife and I moved here because we wanted to be close to Charleston and the beach. We knew when we bought our first home that we were sacrificing the size of that home because of where we wanted to be and what our budget was. But if your reason for moving is because you have a great job up in Ridgeville, your priority isn't going to be living in Mount Pleasant or James Island.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want that commute. So it's a great area. Just personally, it doesn't fit my lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you fished once or twice, Chris.
You
know, you need to be near water access. Like that is your lifestyle. That's what you enjoy.
Yep.
So for you living in Ridgeville, you would have to drive so far to put your boat in the water to where you want it to be. But we've gone out on your boat and you have a boat landing in your neighborhood like that. But for the price of your house, you could get twice the house up there.
Yeah. And if I did live up there, I mean, I wouldn't be towing it to go in the, intercoastal or the Wanda. I probably would be towing it up to one of the lakes and doing, a different style of boating. And there's definitely water near there. It just depends on what's important to you.
Right.
I mean, those are the things that matter, anytime that you're making a move.
Yep. Yeah.
What else have y'all been up to what kind of things have y'all been doing with the family and running around town and things for fun?
Not too much. I did this in one of my videos. Speaking of being on the water, I'll call back to one of my videos that after I learned this, my son and I went out and did it. We were going to do it on Mother's Day, but then it started pouring down rain. Is the water taxi.
Oh, no way. From downtown
around the harbor.
Downtown? Yeah.
Yeah. It's like $14 a person and it's an all-day ticket.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 4 stops and it takes about an hour to do the whole loop.
Yep.
So
where does it actually go?
It goes from the Pineapple Fountain, Waterfront Park, up to the Maritime Center, so near the aquarium, Patriots Point, and then the Harbor Resort are the 4 stops.
I mean, that's a full day, and those are fun, and you can park the car and not worry about it and go have some fun.
Yeah. My wife and daughter were doing something. So my son and I, we got on it. We stayed on it. We did the hour loop and we got off. He loved it. I loved it.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things. Like if you pay for a harbor cruise, like you're paying $50 a person, $30 a person.
Yeah.
Kim and I were like $26, I think it was. I think he was 12. I was 14. And you can get on and off as many times, and it's an all-day pass.
That's awesome.
So we were going to do it on Mother's Day, but it started pouring down rain, so we passed. So we'll do it next time. Not next Mother's Day, but next time my mother-in-law's in town.
There you go. Go cruise around and do some touring on the water. It's always nice, man. It's nice just to be out there.
Yeah. What about your neck of the woods, Mount Pleasant? What are you looking forward to? I know there's a lot going on up there. With the pickleball bar and all that. Like, what are you?
Yeah. So actually, no, have you heard about that? And I mean, we actually just installed a pickleball court in our neighborhood, and it's gotten 10 times more use than the tennis courts that have been there. So I still have not made it out there, but I mean, it certainly seems like a pretty cool sport. And there was, 4 or 5 coworkers talking about it on a conference call this morning. So it seems like that's picking up some steam.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't played. I'm not very athletic, so I probably won't, but maybe one day.
You never know.
Yeah, but I know that was a big thing, and is it Rob Gronkowski? Is that who's part owner of it? Something. Let me look.
I don't know. I don't know. Now I'm learning new stuff here. So, you mean like the football player?
Yeah, I'm gonna look this up real quick.
Yeah, I didn't know if he invested in he invested in a pickleball court that's coming to Mount Pleasant.
Crush Yard is what it's called, and it's an indoor pickleball bar.
All right,
and he's an investor.
Okay,
him and his brothers. And
I would probably go check it if they had their name on it. I would probably go check it out and see what's going on there.
As well as AJ Green and Brian Dawkins as investors and brand ambassadors.
All right. Yeah.
So, and that is on South Morgan's Point.
Where is that? Let's see here. I don't know where South
at
Morgan's
the end
Point
of
is.
like the Publix by Park West.
Oh, okay,
17.
Got it. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like in that area.
It's funny, when you live in a town that's not really that big, but you kind of don't go outside of like a 5-mile radius. So,
yeah,
Park West. I mean, that's its own zip code. I feel. I mean, that they have their own area. What's going on there? No, that's awesome. I definitely have to be checking that one out.
So yeah, interesting. So there you go. You can get into your pickleballing on that.
See what happens.
Hit the big time. We're gonna go pro. We'll end this and just be pro pickleballers.
I don't even know exactly.
It's got to be a thing, but
I'm sure it is.
Well, cool, Chris. Do you have anything else to add here? I think this was fun. Like, let's keep doing this.
I mean, it was nice. I mean, I think people want to know what's going on in town. What are things to do? Where to go have fun? Where to take kids? Where to do family stuff? And obviously, we do a lot of that. So hopefully, people will watch and drop some questions about different things that we can pick up on next time.
Yeah, we'll keep our eyes on the news, and we're just kind of here to just hang out during lunch and chat about Charleston. So if you guys need to get in touch with if you need to get in touch with us, I've got all of our contact information below. Whether you're moving here or just have some questions about the area because you're thinking about it, or you want to know what you can afford, like call Chris, call me. We're more than happy to chat about that with you. And Chris, it was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, hey,
I appreciate
everybody, have a great day, and we will see you on the next video.